We've all been there, right? Sitting through a training session that feels like a complete and utter waste of time. Well, today, we're going to unpack the one framework that's designed to stop that from ever happening again, the ADDIE Model. Trust me, it's a game changer for creating learning that actually works.
So let's start with a problem that I'm sure is familiar to almost everyone. You go to some mandatory training, and then a week later, it's like it never happened. Nothing's changed, there's no improvement, it just feels like the training was a solution looking for a problem. And honestly, that's just a massive waste of everybody's time and money.
So, how do we fix this? Well, we're going to start by really nailing down the core problem, something called the performance gap. And then we'll walk through the 5 phases of the ADDIE model that give us the solution: analyze, design, develop, implement, and of course, evaluate.
Okay, first things first, let's talk about this performance gap problem. Because before we can even think about building a solution, we have to deeply understand the real reason for the training in the first place.
So what exactly is a performance gap? It's pretty simple. It's just the space between where your team is right now and where you need them to be. Think about it like this. Maybe sales are down 15%, or customer satisfaction scores have taken a nosedive. That's the gap. And here's the most important part. Training is only the right answer if it is laser-focused on closing that specific gap.
So what is the best, most reliable way to close that gap? It's a proven roadmap called ADDIE. And it's really important to get this. This isn't some rigid bureaucratic process you have to follow. It's much better to think of it as a flexible, powerful guide that just logically walks you from the problem to the solution.
At its heart, ADDIE is just these 5 phases. Each step builds directly on the one before it, which is exactly how you avoid wasting time and money. This structure, it forces you to be clear and purposeful about the entire process.
So, let's jump into the first phase, analyze. And I'm going to be honest with you, this is where most training programs fail before they even start. If you get this foundation right, everything else just kind of falls into place. The goal here is simple but absolutely crucial. Find the real why behind the problem. And here's a thought that might surprise you. The very first job of the analyze phase is to figure out if you even need training at all. I mean, is the performance gap really because people don't know something? Or could it be something else entirely? You know, like the software is broken, the goals are unclear, or maybe people just aren't motivated. Because if it's not a learning problem, no amount of training in the world is going to fix it.
To dig down to that real root cause, your analysis needs to cover 4 key areas. First, what's the business need? Then, who are the learners? What do they already know? What's their deal? Third, what are the specific tasks they absolutely have to be able to do? And finally, what's the context? Where and how are they going to be using these new skills?
Okay, so you've done your homework. Your analysis confirms that training is the right move. So, now what? Now you move into the design phase. This is where you become the architect of the entire learning experience. This is your master blueprint.
You see, analysis was all about the what and the why. Design is all about the how. And here's a really critical point. You're not building anything yet. Just like an architect, you are meticulously planning out every single detail before anyone lays a single brick. This is what saves you from making really costly mistakes down the road.
The absolute cornerstone of any great design is writing crystal clear learning objectives. And I'm not talking about vague goals like they'll understand the new system. No. We need specific, measurable actions. For example, process a customer return using the new software in under 3 minutes. You see the difference? That level of clarity is going to guide every single decision you make from here on out. So by the time you're done with this phase, you'll have a complete design blueprint. It's going to detail everything: your instructional strategies, the learning activities, how you'll assess people, storyboards for your content, even what kind of media you'll use. It's a comprehensive plan of attack. All right, with our detailed blueprint in hand and approved, we can finally move from planning to actually creating. This is the develop phase.
This is where the plan becomes a reality. And all that hard work you did in analysis and design, it pays off right now, because your team isn't guessing anymore. They know exactly what to build, who they're building it for, and what problem it's supposed to solve.
So what's actually going on during development? Well, content is being written with your subject matter experts, the media teams are producing videos and graphics, and, this is so important, prototypes are being built and tested with real users to get that early feedback. Then, before anything sees the light of day, it all goes through a rigorous quality check.
The materials are built, they've been tested, they're polished and ready to go. It's go time.
This is the implement phase, where we finally launch the learning experience.
But implementation is so much more than just hitting the send button. It's a carefully managed rollout. You have to prepare your instructors or facilitators. You've got to communicate clearly with the learners so they know what's coming. You have to make absolutely sure all the tech is working perfectly. And only then do you deliver the training, all while you're watching and making small adjustments on the fly to make sure it's a smooth ride for everyone.
We've built it, we've launched it, so are we done? Not even close. Now comes the final, and you could argue the most important phase of all, evaluation. This is where we answer the big questions. Did it actually work, and how can we make it even better next time?
You know, evaluation isn't just one single thing. There are two main types. You've got formative evaluation, which happens during the process, like when you test prototypes, so you can make improvements as you go. And then there's summative evaluation, which happens after everything is done to judge the whole thing's effectiveness.
Now, to really measure the true impact, we look at 4 different levels. Level 1 is the basics. Did they like it? Level 2 is more important. Did they actually learn what you wanted them to learn? Level 3 is where the rubber meets the road. Are they actually using it on the job? And finally, the ultimate question, level 4. Did it fix the business problem that started this whole journey way back in the analyze phase?
And this is the most crucial takeaway of all. Evaluation is not a report card. It's the engine for continuous improvement. The things you learn here don't just sit in a file somewhere. They become the starting point for the next analyze phase, creating this powerful cycle where you just keep getting better and better.
And that's the ultimate power of using a model like ADDIE. It completely transforms training from being this standalone check-the-box activity into a real, genuine business enabler. It proves that what you're doing is directly impacting the company's bottom line.
So the next time you're tasked with a project, don't just jump into building slides or creating content. Think like the ADDIE model. Your project starts right now. So what's the very first, most important question you're going to ask?